All right, good evening. We'll call the finance meeting to order, please. Can I have roll call?
Alderman Demas.
Present.
Thompson. Here. Patak.
Here.
Reynolds.
Here.
Laveri.
Present.
Jepson.
Present.
Herndon.
Here.
Crane.
Here. Thank you. First order is let's have a motion for the approval of the minutes for the finance.
So move.
How about let me finish? Just out of respect so the people at home know what we're talking about. Motion on the floor by Alderman Reynolds, second by Alderman Thompson to accept the minutes of the finance meeting held October 27th, 2025. All in favor, please?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 2, review of the annual tax levy ordinance for approval at a later date and related matters. I think Financial Director John Duncan will give us a little rundown, please.
Yeah, this is just the time of year we take a look at the tax levy and set that. I'd like to maybe set it for 2 weeks from tonight at the next meeting for approval, and then we'll get that turned into the county. It has to be turned in by the second Tuesday of December. So we are a little bit ahead of schedule, but not by much. And in doing so, I wanted to review last year's levy real quick, and then kind of some of my ideas for this year's tax levy. If you look, I put a little handout on everyone's desk. Far left column is just the name of the fund that we're levying for. The middle column, that's FY 43025, are for taxes, tax year 24 that were payable in 25. So this is the taxes that were just due this past July and September. We levied in that year $625,000 for the general fund, $35,000 for the audit, $40,000 for IMRF, $115,000 for park and rec, $85,000 for Social Security, $300,000 for the library, $120,000 for the fire pension, and $2.1 million for the police pension. So the column to the right of that are some of my ideas for this year. You can see that I have the general fund levy going down about $10,000. That's because that was needed in a different location. The audit fund staying the same, IMRF staying the same, Park and Rec staying the same, Social Security staying the same. The library, we kind of had a 10-year plan to move them as they were so reliant on donated dollars that have since expired. So we have to get them to a point where they can be sustainable with the tax levy. We have a pretty significant way to go there, but we're taking it one step at a time over like a 10 to 12 year process. And this is just the next step in the process to increase that from $300,000 to $320,000. The fire pension and the police pension I want to talk about collectively first, and then individually second. Both pensions, I want to review some data that we received from the actuarial evaluation this year. They kind of dictate, we hire a third party to do that, and they give us an analysis on what they recommend the contribution to be. So I have it set at potentially 175. The actuaries that did this for us are recommending 157,000. I'm over that, and I'll tell you why in a minute. They were suggesting 157,000, which was 37% of the payroll. In the fire pension, we have accrued liability of 4.2 million and assets of 3.5 million. That means we're about 82% funded in the fire pension. 82% funded is a pretty healthy number. We need to be at 90%. We have several years to get to that. That's a very achievable goal. But we've been adding payroll lately by moving to full-time medics and not contracted medics. So our payroll is going up. So our pension contribution needs to go up to get out ahead of that. For anyone who's curious how the state is doing on the return on assets, the fire pension sits at approximately 8.91% return, which is net of administrative expenses. The actuarial assumption is the current expected rate of return is 6.75. So if it performs again at 8.91 and it exceeds that, obviously that helps us be a higher percent funded and helps us generate some of the revenues based upon investments and not so much on contributions. They are recommending 157,000 based upon an expected payroll of 417,000, but I feel our payroll is probably going to be closer to 500 to 510,000 because they captured our payroll at a time where we weren't fully staffed last year, and so that's why I have us at 37% of payroll based upon 500,000. We should probably be somewhere between 175 and 190. On the contribution. So I didn't want to take it up too much more than that because you can see overall, I want the tax rate to stay less than a 5% increase. So no truth in taxation hearing. Some similar metrics on the police side of things. The recommendation from the third party actuary was that we contribute 1.8 million or 99.78% of payroll. The reason why the percent of payroll is so much higher in the police pension is because our accrued liability is 28.7 million, and right now in assets we have 14.1 million in the police pension, which is the most we've ever had in the police pension, but we're still fighting back to get to a higher funded ratio. Currently, we're 48% funded in the police pension, which is up 4% from last year. So we're contributing a lot more. We're making inches of progress. We still have time to get to where we're going to get 90% to be at a 90% funded ratio. We are on track to get there. It's just going to take several years to do so. We are making progress, but we don't want to lose traction on that. The rate of return that the state achieved on the police pension was 7.5%. And again, it's the same. The actuarial assumption is at a 6.75% expected rate of return. So we exceeded that by 0.75%. This recommendation of 1.8 was on an expected payroll of 1,798,000, and we're estimating that be closer to 2 million because again, last year we had some we weren't fully staffed. We had some employee turnover, and that was captured at not the full bodies that will be probably receiving a pension, and we don't want to get behind by doing that. So if we go back up then and look at these individually, my recommendation would be to consider 175,000 on the fire side and 2.2 million on the police side. If we follow this, and again, this is just a rough draft worksheet, ask all aldermen to take this home and consider it over the next 2 weeks. If you have any questions that I can answer between now and the next meeting, I'd be happy to do so. But I would kind of, it's a rough outlook of what the tax levy would look like. If we did it this way, we would be under the 5% and not need a truth in taxation hearing. And again, how does this affect the homeowner? Will all depend on the EAV in that area. If things were added, new construction and new build that added the EAV that's more significant than the increase, then the tax rate goes down. If everything stays the same as last year, it will go up very, very slightly. So this is, I think, something that's palatable and that residents can handle. And this is what I'm currently thinking. But again, your input on it is always welcome and necessary. So anything you have, thoughts you have tonight or over the next couple of weeks, please let me know.
John, a few questions. What is the actual percentage that has to go to the pension for the police payroll? You said fire's 37%?
Fire's about 37% of payroll, and police is 99.78% of payroll. So for every dollar of payroll, we're putting in $1 in the pension. And that is because there's a large amount of underfunded liability that still exists from years of not putting in enough. So, once we get that number, as you see on the fire side, closer to as soon as we get 28.7, if we had today $28.7 million worth of assets to match the accrued liability, and we were 100% funded, that number might be around 20 to 25%, my estimation of payroll, and not 100% of payroll. So 75% of the problem is a lack of contributions that were made, over the past time. So, we are making up for that, but again, it's just taking a long time, and we knew that going in to dig ourselves free of that hole.
And then we will be able to meet the goal, the requested goal by the state of 2040?
Yes, I believe they gave us 40 years, and
Am I right? Is it 2040?
I believe it is 2040. Yeah, we are on track for that. We set when we have the third party actuary crunch the numbers for us, we actually make the assumption 100% funded by then, so that we leave ourselves some margin of error. So say we have a year that we don't have the expected rate of return at 6.75%, or if we have, if we exceed what they calculated as a mortality table for a healthy group and we live longer than what they suggest, all those types of assumptions, we can overcome that by overshooting on to be 100% funded. So
then by us giving more than the actuary is actually stating us to give, it looks good for us if we don't meet our goal.
yeah, actually they did a 5-year analysis, and I believe we were at 105% of the actuarial recommended amount to contribute. So over the last 5 years on the police side, we've over contributed by about 5%, which is helpful because we should over contribute as much as we can in the earliest years we can do it, because that will make interest to help, and so we don't have to go back to the taxpayer for it. So we're doing everything we can to get this thing, up to goal as quickly as we can. It's not like we should pull back on that over the recommended contribution.
Correct. Very good. Any other questions, thoughts?
John, what's the funding on that IML pension?
The IMRF?
Yeah, IMRF.
What can you ask your question again, Doc?
Well, there it is. I see it. Never mind.
Oh yeah, okay. So that's on the levy, and that hasn't changed. The IMRF is at $40,000. So that covers that $40,000 contribution for IMRF covers employees that are only in the general fund. It does not cover employees who are in the water and sewer fund, because those funds contribute to IMRF based upon the water and sewer rates that we make. So they generate funds to contribute. So this is for only employees who are in the general fund at $40,000. So our contribution to IMRF is much larger than the $40,000. It's just that's all we go to the tax levy for, is for the general fund employees, since we don't have another revenue source for those employees.
It should be noted here, folks, that we have 0 bond levies, and I think some of us can recall. Yes.
Yeah, Tom, technically these bonds that are listed here that haven't been on the tax levy for a couple of years could be deleted from the report, but I like to leave them on there to show the 0 next to them, because we haven't bonded out, and we're not taking that to the tax roll.
So is our bond rate gone up? Our bond
Yeah, it has over the past couple of years. I don't remember. We just got it back. I think we announced it a couple. Maybe it's been a couple meetings I missed due to some kids sports activities, but I think we did discuss that a month or so ago when we got that back. But it did go up. We have improved, not only because we're not taking on new debt, but also because we have dug ourselves out of the red and the deep red that we were in the general fund.
So John, we do have some loans out, but they're mostly zero interest, and some are forgivable too.
Yeah, we have some loans in the water and sewer funds that are forgivable. Brian's pretty educated on maybe what % of forgiveness that we'll be getting on those. We decided to keep those as loans and not pay them, because the money we've been making on CDs is higher than the interest rate we're being charged. So it's foolish to pay them off and not carry that debt. But we should plan on paying that per their schedule every year to the EPA and IEPA on the loan and forgiveness amounts. But we have one bond left that we pay for out of the general fund We don't go to the tax levy for it. That's the only bond we have left. And then outside of the recent EPA loan and forgiveness that we still have a loan on the wastewater treatment plant that was built. It's a pretty good amount, but we're paying for that within the sewer rates that we're charging currently.
So I take it there's no vote tonight, just strictly to give some information so that when we vote on it in 2 weeks, we have some information.
That's correct. And you have a couple weeks to digest it. And if you have any thoughts or ideas or want a deeper dive into any of these numbers, you can always give me a call and we can sit down and go through them.
Okay, well done, John, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Item number 3, discussion potential recommendation regarding entering into an agreement with Lexipool to provide full implementation of police policy and annual police policy manual at the cost of $27,298.40 and related matters. Chief, you want to give a little rundown, or what, we good with it? Or?
Yeah, so looking to update our policy manual. Obviously, the amount of regulatory and legislative stuff that comes through the General Assembly for law enforcement, it's key for us to stay up to date with that stuff, and that's exactly what this service does. I could go through our policy manual and sit down and close the door and just work on policies, but what this company does here, they have a group of legal experts that keep the policies up to date, that follow everything through the state of Illinois, and they can help us customize the policies and tailor it. So what this cost includes is an implementation phase for our top 50 high-risk policies, where they'll have a staff member meet with us on a weekly basis, just like Chief Janik is doing. This is the same company that the fire department has just gone to as well. Cloud-based, web-based systems, so no draw on software, IT systems, but they'll help us get this implemented and rolled out. So this service will cover December 1st through April of 2027, broken up into 2 different payments. The first payment is a prorated version that will cover January through April 30th of 2026, and they're going to give us a complimentary month just starting December 1st of this year, and the implementation cost, which is their professional services, which helps us get the policy launched to the department. The second payment, which will be due in May of 2026, will cover the first annual subscription service to that.
So we did this for the fire department, and Chief, are you happy with it?
Absolutely.
So this puts us obviously in compliance with what we need to be doing, so I think this is a great idea, and since they're giving us a 20% discount by having with the fire, does anybody have any questions about this?
It protects us from liability.
Exactly, it's something that needs to be done. So then can I have a motion to send a recommendation to the council?
I'll move.
I have a motion on the floor by Alderman LaBerry, second by Alderman Thompson, to accept the recommendation by our chief to go ahead and get the Lexipool policy manual for the amount of $27,298.40 and related matters. Could I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Demas.
Aye.
Thompson.
Aye.
Patak.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
LaBerry.
Aye.
Jepson.
Aye.
Herndon.
Aye.
Crane.
Aye. Motion carried.
I do have a couple other things. Whenever
okay.
point in the meeting you'd like to hear.
Sure, let's do it now.
Just wanted to update the council on a few things. One, our current financial software is with Cassell. We were brokered through a company called Civic Systems. Civic Systems is owned by Baker Tilly, which is a large CPA firm, and they had a lot of influence over Cassell, which is a Utah-based company. Civic just had the rights to distribute them in the Midwest. They since sold to Cassell. The Civic piece was sold to Cassell. One of their vendors that we use here is PSN, or Payment Service Network. That's the third-party app that they partnered with for a long time that we use for our swipe machines internally, and also for people who do their utility billing and pay online. That is the third-party service that does the online portion of it. We are looking at going to a hosted environment with Cassell. Brent could probably explain better why we're moving to that. But the long and the short of it is that the PSN piece of it is impacted a little bit. So we've been looking at some different solutions for that third-party online vendor. And Cassell has their own product that we're looking at. If we decide that, my team internally is looking at this right now, if this is something that we like enough and that we recommend that we move to, obviously I would be in touch with the council to do so. But just so everyone here is aware, that would mean that anyone who has an account set up with PSN to pay their utility bill would have to set up with the new vendor to do so. So it will impact utility billing customers, and obviously we'll have a lot of education if we decide to make any moves. It does give us the ability to pay more things online. One of the big complaints we hear in the office is if somebody gets their utility shut off, they're not able to pay the turn-on fee online. The only thing that PSN can handle is things that are integrated with the Cassell system, because they're not fully integrated with Cassell, where Cassell is. So if we move to the Cassell-based product, we could pay things like turn-on fees and potentially also, whatever we set it up for. But we would also be able to pay rental licenses and stuff online. We have another service doing some of that stuff for us now, but we're looking into that a little bit. Just want you all to be aware. Also, we are negotiating a little bit. I know Kevin's not here, but when we had to paint the last water tower, or painting the last water tower with Verizon, who, we had like a lease with them that we would have had to pay for moving their equipment if we moved it. We were able to paint around it, but it brought up the fact that really none of us are experts on these tower leases, and Verizon wants to put additional equipment up. And for us to negotiate with them about what they're putting up and to know how much we should get for that or not get for that, we kind of turned to our partners at the USG Water Solutions, they're owned by Utility Services Communication, and you guys might remember them because we approved them to manage all of the maintenance on the towers. They also have a division that negotiates these leases. I think it might be wise to take a look at, talking to them and maybe having them do it for us, so we don't try to do it ourselves and get into these situations where, if we have to move something, it's at our cost. And they're also very familiar with what goes on a water tower and how it should go on a water tower the right way, so they can move it if they need for maintenance. So that might be something that's headed your way in the future as well. Also, to give everyone a heads up, we did get a first look at the health insurance. We're meeting with the health insurance committee on Friday. I don't know if anyone else's business has been affected by rate increases, but there's some pretty substantial rate increases that are on the board with Blue Cross this year. So we're looking into things that we can do, working with Bart, obviously, who's negotiating with Blue Cross, looking at other options, and we're meeting as a team on Friday to discuss those. So, but the initial first look isn't very pretty, upward of 30% increase. So,
Is that, sorry.
Go ahead.
Is that going to be countrywide or?
Yeah, to a degree, it is something that's happening. I don't know if it's countrywide, but I've been being told that in our region in north central Illinois, it's pretty consistent, but it also is consistent with a couple years of heavy claims specific to us. So while everyone else might not get a 30% increase, they might get, the industry standard 15, 18, 20% increase. But ours, we had a couple hard claims in the health insurance field. They need us to run at about a 60 to 70. This is what I've learned from the agent, is that we needed to be at a 60 or 70% loss ratio, and we were at 100 to 105 the past couple of years. So that didn't help us specifically. So some of it probably is over what is the industry increase. Also, upcoming in May, all 4 union contracts come due. So we are attempting to start scheduling contract negotiations with all 4 unions. That will probably start taking place. If we can get any in December, we will, but definitely January, February, March, as those things take months to approve. So we'll be updating you guys on that. And also, the last thing I have is I know I missed a couple meetings, as I said, but the last meeting I was at, the water and sewer rates I'd like to start looking at, in the January, February mark. So I'll get back to you guys on doing some 5-year projections for water and sewer and where we stand currently on rates and what we expect in for grants. And, we'll have something maybe for you guys to review at some point in time in terms of rate structure.
John, getting back to Verizon leasing our water tower space, and then USG has a company or a division that actually negotiates the lease, you say, right?
They have a division inside of their company that negotiates those leases that's familiar with the equipment they put on and what they do and what the going rate for all that is.
So is that included in our payment?
It is not.
So will they take a cut of that?
I'm assuming they would, but they have not offered us a contract to know what exactly the cut is and what services they provide. I've also asked them to provide me with references of other cities that do it. So when I'm just, we're in the infancy stages of looking at it because they're changing and adding some equipment. So the lease with them needs to be addressed, and I don't feel comfortable at all. I'm not an expert on any of that equipment, other than, I can push them around as much as I can and see what we get. But, they might identify me quickly as somebody who's not knowledgeable in the industry. And, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea, depending on what they charge, at least look at them and see what they can do. And when I learn all that, I'll plan on either getting back to you or having them come and present.
Okay, very good. Well done. All right, any comments?
One more thing for John. We're talking about that software. Since I've been an alderman, one of the goals I had was to have some sort of app, like a City of LaSalle app, similar to how Ameren has their app, where you can pay your bill just directly through that. And then we can use it for push notifications like the code red and the announcements, everything that'd be on your water bill. Also, is that something we can look into?
I don't know if they what they offer aside from paying being able to pay your utility bill online. We did a brief demo of the product, and you are able to tie your full account relationship to the account. But again, the more you tie to it, the more the fee is, not just for paying, but for hosting the environment. And so, we'll have to determine what makes sense for us, to purchase or look at. But, I don't know how extensive, currently the one we're on, you're just able to go on the app and pay your utility invoice. So apples to apples, we'll look at that and then see what else is offered on there that we can look at.
I'd like to look into something more than just being able to pay your utility bill. I think we should use it for other things too, if possible.
All right.
We'll keep you posted on all the features of the.
Any other thoughts, questions? Any questions on the bills?
This is the first time we haven't had a sludge removal cost, which is.
Yeah, thank goodness. You all right?
I think so.
Really nice. Yeah, one more.
Friday night, Monday night. No, I'm good.
Okay.
That'd be the last one then. Thank you.
All right. So I guess this will be called for a motion to adjourn this wonderful meeting.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor by Alderman Reynolds, second by Alderman Gray to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.